So what's going on? We are back with episode 5 of The Pursuit. And August is National Black Business Month. Salute to all the Black business owners out there. And we have back because we just had such a good chemistry bond. People got a lot of comment about the podcast I did with Marcus Green, the serial entrepreneur. Nobody really knows what he does, where he's coming from. It's like Spider-Man. Nobody knows who you are. So we brought him back to talk about Black Business Month, and we just want to go ahead and jump into it. And so it's National Black Business Month, Marcus. So, there's a lot of talk just in the culture, in our society, in the world. Something has been deemed as a Black job. Black job is something that's been going around just on the internet, all over social media, everybody, where even Simone Biles, who just won her gold, she got so many awards, but she said, I'm glad that I have a Black job. So I just start thinking about, what is a Black business?
Well, thank you for having me on this podcast for a second time, and I feel so honored and blessed to talk to y'all today about the BMW.
BMW. What's the BMW?
Black man working.
Black man working.
Yeah. So to talk about the Black job, I mean, you hit it on the head. There's been so much going on in the news and media and things like that. I think it's really just, there's no such thing. That's a myth. All jobs that all people can have is a Black job. I mean, and those are the things that we need to talk about. And the Black business, in that same regard, over history, Black people have had businesses in all different genre, all different industries, all different sectors. So to label a business exclusively to a Black business, I think it's doing a disservice, because at the end of the day, business is business.
Business is business.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, business is business.
Absolutely.
Whether and Black or any other ethnicity, if they want to do business, you're gonna do business with them.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But let's make it clear. I do understand the narrative of Black businesses, and it's unfortunate that in 2024 we do have to define ourselves as quote unquote Black businesses. I had the opportunity, the privilege to travel abroad, and I was in Africa for a while. There's no such thing as a Black business in Africa.
Gotcha.
There's no such thing. It's just business. It's a business. You on the street, you want to sell whatever goods, services that you have, you're in business. What defines business is, is it a good business or is it a bad business? I just want to be defined as a good business.
You want to be now, okay. So then, all right, I'm going to play. I don't play devil, but I'm going to play advocate. Okay.
Sure.
So then, why do you think we celebrate Black Business Month? Then, if business is just business, why do you think that a lot of Black business owners take pride in this month and networking with one another? So then, why do you think we celebrate Black Business Month?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's why I was saying that I do understand it. You and I are Black men here in America. There are certain things that we identify to as just our plight, and so in business, it's the same thing. We gravitate and we want to have that sense of community. And having that sense of community, saying that we are a Black business, it gives us that sense of community. And again, there are other ethnic groups that do it, but they do a little differently than us as Black people. And I think if we take some social cues, some of those other cues from those other ethnic groups. I think it will help propel us into a new direction. For instance, there's a ethnic group. I won't say any names, but if they open a business in their community, 100% they already know they have a predefined market. All those people in that ethnic group will, by no stretch of the imaginations, they will patronize that business.
Right.
Because that is the community in which they have cultivated and created. And so in that same regard, I think we as black people, we're saying black business to give that sense of community, but we don't take it to the next level. Now, if we really want to capitalize on black business, let's take it to the next level.
What's the next level?
Yeah, so the next level is, okay, Nate has a business. I have a business. Nate has a business that can buy goods and services from my business.
Okay.
Nate is going to, now my business, I'm not the cheapest, but Nate, because he's a part of this community, he's going to buy his goods and services from my business. Now, I, in turn, buy my supplies from another black business where that dollar circulates in our community, more than 7-8 times. The challenge right now, our dollar does not circulate, not even once.
So that's next level.
That's next level. And there are multiple tiers to that scenario, but that truly is, the quintessential goal is to have your dollar circulating in your community, at least 5 to 8 times before it goes out.
So I asked a barber, I asked her, and same question that I'm asking you, because I want to get various opinions and reasons why people do. And I said, what makes this a black barbershop? I said, is this a black barbershop? She said, it is. And I said, what quantifies it to be a black barbershop? She said, well, it's owned by a black female. And she said, one of my things is to provide an atmosphere where people can feel like it's a safe place. We can have safe discussions. Nobody's really judging anybody. We can have conversations that impact our community. But she went a step further. She said, you see a lot of biracial kids who sometimes live with a parent that is not black, and they really don't know what to do with their hair. They want locks. They want this kind of style done. And she said, I feel like this place is a safe place where they can come in. And she said, because the thing is, they are trying to identify with that biracial kid. Then I feel like one of my responsibilities is to be able to answer their questions, make it feel like there's not a dumb question, make it feel like it's not something that they can't feel like, if I ask this, I'm going to be looked at a certain way. And so I really respected the fact that she knew why that she was a black business. It was the environment, like you said, sense of community, and just by the person that it's owned by. She said, but the thing about it is an environment that anybody can come. But that was why she coined it, or said, this is a black business. What do you think about that?
That was a long drawn out, because to me, it is very, very simple. Who's sitting in her chair?
Okay.
Who sits in her chair? So if she is let's take it to another demographic. If she is all those things keeping true, she is a black barber, and she, wants to create a safe space, but nothing but people that don't look like her patronize her business. Then what does she call herself?
Okay. So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So there's a place that I frequent in Durham.
Yeah.
And one of the things is when I'm talking to people, not necessarily about business, it's about culture that sells a lot of black hair products.
I was going to go there too.
When I go into that place,
yes,
the music that is being played is all R&B, because so you're saying they have coined themselves as a black business, yes or no?
Absolutely, they have.
So is it Black Business Month for them?
See, and that's my point exactly.
Okay.
That is my point exactly. So we have to really quantify and qualify what we mean by black business. You know, in my answer for black business, it is if there is a black person at the helm making the decisions of this business viability. Is it going to go up or down? This person is unobstructed, have all the autonomy to make the calls for that business. If that person that has taken the risk to open that business is a person of color, then that is a black business. Now, to your point, there are a lot of businesses in our community, and this goes back to my.
Well, I have a point. Don't make it my point.
No.
To my question.
Yeah. So this goes back to my original
okay,
point, right?
Okay.
This goes back to my original point with that money circulating in our community. Now, that business that you just mentioned, that sells these hair care products, you can go get your 18 inches and all that. Well, when you go there, that money left our community.
Right.
Because that money is probably going overseas somewhere.
Okay. So is that a black business, or is that a business that caters to black people?
That is a business that caters to black business. And see, here's another thing with that. It's, since we're there for a minute, we always, as black people, feel and think we don't have enough. And that is oftentimes one of the narratives that it saddens me, because other ethnic groups move to our communities, open up their businesses, and they make billions. But they take that money out of our community. Our community is making other ethnic groups absolutely wealthy.
Okay, so with your revitalization and the projects you're doing on Fayetteville Street that you're starting to do, how are you going to make that what you do with that business there and bringing economic value to that area? What's your plan to circulate and not take it somewhere else?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing is to connect with everything that's existing there, right?
Okay.
And making sure. So
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
All the businesses, all the residents of that community, they all have to know what's going on. So we have to connect with them. Once we connect with them, then we can start collaborating and making sure that we're providing all the services, all the businesses that community needs. And then once we have that, now we can start communicating and making sure that everybody in the community knows what's there and knows what's coming and knows how to interact. And then we'll know what we need to do next, right?
Okay.
So what needs to come next versus what we already got. And that's
okay. So let me ask you a question. What's your plan? And I was going to say, if you know, but the way your mind thinks, I know you do know. what's the plan for you? What is the plan for what's coming? Are you going to open? Are you going to do new buildings? Are you going to give small business owners, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, are you going to give them, not give them, are you going to provide spaces? Are you going to provide a place where it is circulating and we know what we have there? Like, what's your plan for that?
Yeah, so there's a myriad of different things that's coming in that community, but directly in my control, one of the things that we're going to be doing is we're going to build a hotel, right?
Okay.
And you say, what's the hotel have to do with any of this, right? But at a hotel, there are various different revenue models, revenue systems in a hotel. And a hotel is almost like a economy in and of itself. So you can.
And when is the hotel coming? Do you know when it's coming? Do you have a?
Yeah. So the plans are, and yeah, I can roughly say it, but don't hold me to it because there's things that happen that's out of our control. So we're looking to break ground mid 2025, and hopefully we'll have it up and running that previous year, that fall of 2026, mid to late, somewhere in there. But back to the hotel. So in the hotel, you have the ability in one building, you can offer. So for instance, in I've been in hotels where they had barbershops in hotels. Yeah. I've been in hotels where they had floor shops in hotels. I've been in hotels where they had massage services in those hotels. Now, even the restaurants in hotels are not owned by the hotel. Mm-hmm. All of those different entities in that hotel are in and of itself their own small businesses that's operating in that one building. So that's one way that we're looking to collaborate with the community, bring the community into a project such as that.
No, that's dope. That's dope. Now, this hotel that tentatively,
yes,
not because it's going to come into existence, but a concrete date. Is this the same situation that you had with the Mill House? Is that where the hotel was going to be?
Well, no. So that's a separate and different project.
Spider-Man, man. I don't.
Yeah. Okay. So I appreciate you bringing that back. So the Mill House, and it's almost been a year. September 9th, 2023, it sustained the fire, and we were like 90% complete with it. But the keeping consistent with the mission and vision of what we're trying to do, the Mills House was going to be kind of a microcosm of that economy as well. So inside of the Mills House was going to host a cafe where that's another business that was going to be situated inside the Mills House. But the goal of the Mills House was to allow the community to come in and really be a part of what's going on, the revitalization. So let's say, for instance, if there was a wedding, you wanted to rent the space for a wedding. The second floor was going to be co-working space where we, bring some classes and bring different topics there. And then the outdoor space, the backyard was going to be a totally, interactive space where different types of venues can happen. And we might even just do a concert back there. I'm actually really thinking about planning a concert back there, even in the condition of where it is. It's not where you are.
There, how big is it? How much space is it back there?
So the whole property is 0.4 acres, so almost like a half acre, and then the backyard is probably a quarter.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Now I know there was an incident that happened with the Mill House, and I don't know if that's something you can share. You want to share as a good podcaster? I would
Yeah.
not be doing my job if
Yeah.
I didn't ask you what happened to the Mill House, because you
Gina,
kind of had to start all over, right?
Yeah, you're provocative in your question asking, but no, yes. So
Hey,
like
Mark,
I mentioned,
tell us what happened.
right. So it was like I mentioned, it was about a year ago, September 9th, 2023, about 9 p.m. I get a call from my neighbor. He lives across the street from the house. And he calls me, say, Marcus, your house is on fire. And at first, because of the area, P. Nate, when he said fire, I'm like, what do you mean? Someone's on the sidewalk burning trash or whatever.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Someone is in the back, maybe burning something. So I get in my truck, I drive down there. I really didn't think he meant what he was saying. But when I got there, it was a 9-alarm fire. If for all of the listeners don't know what a 9-alarm fire is, it's when the big fire engines where you have to call 9 different fire companies to come to one location. So that one location needed help. So it was 9 of them, and they had the whole street blocked off. And honestly, it was the largest fire that I personally have physically witnessed. It was unbelievable. And when the fire was raging, I was standing on the sidewalk over by Stanford L. Warren Library, looking at the property just up in a blaze. And I was just like, man, we were like 90% completed with the property. We were so close, and it was looking amazing. We'd already had we had events already scheduled.
You had done an interview.
Yes. Yeah.
Up and coming businesses in Durham.
Yes. So while I'm standing on the sidewalk looking at this thing burn, a calm came over me. And scripture in the Bible says, he give you peace that surpasses all understanding. And for the normal human being that has poured as much of financial resources, time, energies, and effort that I have into that project, most people will be out of their wits and just losing it. But
man, you said God talked to you in that piece. I remember when you called me, because Tracy said, "Hey, call and check on your man."
Yeah.
And I called them, and I don't know if you remember, and I don't remember specifically, but I could tell you had a piece. Do you remember the statement that you made to me that day?
Not really.
Is this about how you're going to do this again?
Well, it's really like,
I preached about it. I don't remember what I preached about.
I don't know, Peanut, but I don't quit easy. But the thing about it is that God told me that He's going to get glory out of this situation. Don't know how. In my human eyes, I'm looking at it bleak because I'm in a battle with the insurance companies and a little bit on that. So I had a insurance policy on the project. My builder had what is called a builder's risk policy. Both insurance companies denied the claim. So now I'm in some legal battles with the insurance company to force them to honor their commitments. But again, through it all, I'm still, steadfast and believing that God is going to get some glory out of this thing, and right now it's out of my hands. So why stress?
So the thing about it is, okay, so let's rewind.
Yeah,
you're saying, because we haven't talked about lately the state that the Mill House is in. Okay, we haven't talked about that since September 9th.
Yeah,
but you have in your mind a date in 2026 that you're going to open something. And I think that is, I think that's a level of faith that you see something that is totally destroyed, but you still keep the same date in mind of which you have already projected. Where does that come from? Because what state is it in now? Did you build it over? Did you what happened? What are you doing?
So right now the state is so the roof is totally gone. It is taking on the elements, and so the second floor is, just totally destroyed. First floor, because of the water and everything, it is going to be a total gut. The only thing that's probably going to stand, if anything, is the outer four walls. Everything in the inside is going to have to be utterly demolished. Now, again, I just have to see and believe that we're going to make it through this, because it's just that looking past, it's almost like when I drive up there and I see it in its completed state. And I see it's all up and down Fayetteville Street. When I drive that corridor, I see what we're going to witness 5 years from now. And what you see right now, don't let your current situation block you from your long-term goal or your blessing. This is just a circumstance that I'm in. This is just a current situation. That's not the end all be all. That's not the goal. The goal is this thing is going to be completed. It's going to be an asset to the community, and everyone's going to have an opportunity to enjoy it.
So, with the networking event that we did at the church, a lot of the businesses, not a lot, but there was a great number that were small businesses.
Yeah.
What is your definition, or what do you think of when you think of what quantifies something as a small business?
Wow. See, and this is where we really have to break down businesses, right?
Okay.
Because a lot of people. So let's take a step back. So the Small Business Administration, the SBA, they categorize small businesses anything from 1 employee to 500 employees, less than $10 million in annual growth. Annual revenue. A lot of people that have, let's say they have, 100 employees and they're making $9 million a year revenue, they probably won't categorize themselves as a small business.
Okay.
They'll think of themselves a little higher than where they truly are.
Okay.
And this is where we have to really kind of reshape how we look at things. So we have a lot of people, and don't misunderstand me, listeners, I'm not knocking it. We all have to start somewhere, and that is a beautiful thing, because this is Black Business Month. Start somewhere. But where you start, you cannot get content to end there. And so why I say that is, so most people start as and I'm speaking about myself, right?
Okay.
I started as a consultant. It was just me. I
Right.
I had contracts and I ran the contracts and I was everything, right? It was just
Okay.
me.
And now, so we're going to lead to something.
Yeah.
So you, at this point, you're a contractor and you're working for somebody else.
No. So I'm saying at this point, well, I did start there. I had a job and I was
Okay.
a contractor. So I was kind of like had a full-time W-2 job,
Gotcha.
and I had some consulting on the side, right?
Okay. So we'll start step one, the consultant on the side, as we're dealing with small business. All right,
Right.
go ahead.
So, well, what I'm trying to convey to the listeners is that you just can't stop there. You know, I could have just stopped there and things were really going well, but what happens there is you continue to trade your time for money.
Okay.
And what happens is you quickly burn out.
Okay.
I mean, you just I mean, it's 24 hours in a day. There's so much one individual can do. And so that trading time for money, you burn out. Now, what you want to do, you want to move to, now you hire a person. Now you're leveraging their time. So
Okay.
now you're leveraging their time for money. And so that's where things start to blossom a little bit. And so where for me, and speaking to myself, started as that consultant.
Right.
Then so I brought on other consultants to divvy out the work to. So I didn't make all the money. I made most of it. Then I paid others to do it. So then I was able to do more contracts, because now it's not just me. I got a team that's doing more. And that's where small businesses, they really put themselves in that box of small. But if I could do anything today, is implore them to break down that box and think bigger. How do you scale? How do you scale to be global? How do you scale to be a national brand or business? And that's where generational wealth happens and things of that nature.
So, being that contracted for yourself on the side, what is a two-part question? And I'll start the first part. What was your first break?
My first, to
the next level. And when you were doing that contracted work and you were scaling, did you have other help, or were you still the main thing? And what was your first break? And why do you think they gave you a break? So if you have some advice for small business owners, I know sometimes like smaller businesses, they can miss out on contracts just because you have these big corporations, and sometimes people never give them an opportunity. Like, what was your first big break, and why? What advice would you give somebody to being able to get your foot in the door? A lot of times people say, I just need to get my foot in the door. I have the best this, I have the best that. But as you know, we just don't get those opportunities. So that two-part question, what was your first big break, and what advice would you give somebody to get that foot in the door?
Yeah, very good question. So my first real big break was I partnered with Lockheed Martin on a government contract.
Okay.
And so
what was your part in it?
So my part in it, I think I can say this. So I had to build a contact center for this one government agency.
Okay.
So when I say the contact center, so you have let's say, for instance, you call transportation TSA to get a job. You go to their website, fill out the application, and it says it's going to call you back. The system that I built is the system that automates that call back and say, hey, Nate Davis, you have an interview on such and such date. Can you make it? Press 1 to say yes, press 2 to say no. If you
that's the system you built.
Yes.
You build those systems.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
yes.
Spider-Man, we're figuring out who you are.
Right. And so that big break, it propelled me in a really miraculous way. I got to this particular vendor that the system that we were putting
Marcus,
in.
Let's pause right there.
Yeah,
I know some of the story, but I want to make sure I get the story right. Now, what did you go to school for?
I went to school for computer science.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, there was an instance that you were working at a place and you told them you understood the job, but went home at night to learn what you told them you understood. Is this what you learned with this?
Oh,
technology?
no.
Okay.
So let's go all the way back. Now, so mind you, I graduated college in 1996. Right?
Okay.
So, and I went to a HBCU. See, I'm repping Lane College here, and you know,
the new member of the board of trustees.
Yeah, absolutely. So we did not have the internet. So
yeah, we didn't either. Absolutely.
So I went to school. We didn't have the internet, right? So, when I graduated, the first time I'd been on the internet is when I got this job.
Same year.
And so the programming language that I was working with, and so my first job out of college, I was building electronic medical records, right? So EMRs. So when you go to your doctor, and the doctor, and this particular company that I was working for was ahead of their time. So back in 1996 and 97, doctors thought it was taboo to bring a laptop into a patient room. They thought it was impersonal. They really didn't like that. So, but this company, we built one of the first electronic medical records where doctors rolled into the patient room and took their demographics and everything on a computer and did all that stuff in the computer. And so this particular programming language, it wasn't taught at my school, right?
Okay.
I did not know it. So I would fake it through the day at work, right? I'm in meetings.
Conversations. What were you saying, Marcus?
Oh, listen, I was saying any jargon that I learned the night before. So look, it was like a 3 months crash course. I taught myself this coding language because, one, I was not gonna be told that I couldn't do it. Two, I didn't want to look like a fool. So I would go home, get off at 5, whatever. I'd stay up to midnight, 1 a.m. studying how to get through the next day.
Okay.
What I need to know to get this particular module done. What do I need to do? I studied all night. I joined all these user groups. I joined all kind of things just to make sure that I was proficient. Because one thing, see, going to an HBCU, it's almost like, it is like being raised in a Black family. When you left your house and you went somewhere else, you represented your mama and your daddy and your whole family.
Okay.
And anything that you did negative, it came back on your family. And that's how I perceive things. I was not going to be put in this situation and fail, and it's put back a black eye on my school, Lane College, and
Let's
in
go.
general, all HBCUs. No way. So I worked tremendously hard for that not to happen.
Okay, so let's jump back to when you partnered with this project.
Yeah.
And the reason why I asked you that, the majority of what you got with your first break in this partnering, would you say it was, and the reason why I'm asking this, because maybe some people don't have a college education.
Yeah.
Would you say most of it was from what you got at a great school, Lane, or would you say it was during that 3 to 4 month grind of you just getting as much information as possible?
You know, I would love to say it was my education.
Mm-hmm.
It's more so, and this is one of I think the things that have helped propel me through business is that I can become common to all men.
Okay.
I don't care what you do, where you are, I can find some commonality that you and I can click.
Mm-hmm.
And that trait, I use that trait in all situations. So I met a person
Okay.
that just so happened. So I was working at this one consulting firm. I left that consulting firm, but prior to leaving that consulting firm, I met this other person that a sales guy from the other firm, he had left and went started doing government contracts. And so he, because we had a good relationship, I talked to him, I relate to him. When he left, he remembered me, then he called me. Say, hey, I got a potential opportunity. Would you be interested for it? I said, what is it? We went through it. I said, yes. And so just that being nice to somebody, being relatable to someone, it led me to my next thing. And that next thing just so happened to be huge.
Gotcha. So it was a connection.
It's 100% a connection. I mean, but once you get in, you got to be able to do the work. But you got to figure out it's not always being able to do the work that gets you in.
Mm.
Yeah.
But you got to be able to do the work when you got there.
At the end of the day, you got to be able to do the work.
So after your partnership with them, why do you think you got that big break? Was it because of the work in the partnership? Was it connection that was able to you to propel forward?
So okay, so really, and it's so at this particular contract with Lockheed Martin, they carved out a piece for me, which my company is called Green Solutions. It was two other companies that was on this particular. So just so for your listeners to know, we were not, it wasn't like they looked at me and said, oh, I think Marcus would be great at this. No.
Okay.
No, that's not how it works. Because this is Black Business Month, they looked at me because I'm a African American business, and the federal government has these things called set-asides. So Lockheed Martin won this massive award government contract, and they have to set aside a portion of it to minority businesses.
Mm-hmm.
This guy knew I was a minority, mm-hmm. and I had a business. Mm-hmm. And Lockheed Martin, they had this, and what I do is kind of really, really niche. So there's not a lot of African American businesses that can fill that void. And so he knew, and he called me, and so I was able to plug in there. But there was a couple other minority businesses that I've kept up with over the years, and being, good stewards of a relationship, I have eaten off of those relationships over the years. So yeah.
So it's about relationships.
It's about relationship and your network.
And being able to do the work once you get in the door. Because I think you and I talked about the other day when I was just saying, hey, I got this idea for this podcast. You were saying when you develop a network group, then if you are able to do the work once you get into the door, people will recommend you out of that network.
Absolutely. And also with that network, you let me see your network, and I can show you. I can tell you within probably a couple $100 what your net worth is.
Okay, so let me ask you this: put you on the spot. I think I called you the other day, probably 4 times, with just questions and things that me and Tequila were arguing about. Having healthy discussions about just life. So one of the things that you see on Shark Tank, with it being Black Business Month, and this is something that I always think about. Like, have you ever seen somebody's story on TV and they're like, this is what that person went through, and this is what propelled them forward, and this was their turning point. And you can almost think like, dang, I know 10 people. I know 10. It's like a common thing where you're from or in your community, So one of the things that happens on Shark Tank is, thinking about Black business owners, that a lot of times it can be like these people who own like these Fortune 500 companies. Okay, we'll just say on Shark Tank. Mm-hmm. Somebody will tell their story. Hey, I was doing this hair oil in Ghana. True story. Doing this hair oil in Ghana, and we found this plant and this and this and this, or we were doing the sea moss and this and this and this, or they're telling their story as a Black business owner, and then one of the sharks may say, hey, you know what? I understand, because I am the first generation immigrant. My family came from so-and-so. My dad came here with nothing. I went to school, I got educated, blah, 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 and this and this and this. And I'm just saying the conversations that I've heard, and I ask people these questions. A lot of times Black business owners can say, yeah, but not the same thing as our situation. We're not given those opportunities. I get it that, and I'm not saying this in a negative, I'm quoting the people on Shark Tank. My grandfather came over here on a boat, came with nothing, and this and this and this. And look at me, I went to school and I'm this billionaire. And a lot of times I've heard Black business owners say, hey, you know what? I get it, but not the same story. What do you think about that?
Man, P-Nate, that's...
I know I put you on the hot seat. I know. If you don't want to answer...
No. I really do want to answer. That's the problem. And because I really do want to answer, because here's the
and I'm going, so it's kind of like your kids don't go through what you went through.
Right.
A traumatic day for Asa may be he can't get his hotspot to connect in the car with his mama. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They can't find the charge. Oh my God, the sky's falling. And then, you go to, what? We ain't have no hotspot. We ain't have no internet. Because when I was in college, we didn't have internet. I remember the first person in my dorm to get dial up, and we would sit there and look at the computer we're talking to somebody in another place. So I'm not saying you get what I'm saying.
So I do, and so this my answer to that, my comments to that are going to resonate tremendously to the right person.
Okay.
The wrong person are not going to hear what I'm about to say.
Okay.
So it's a big difference. There's a huge difference between, and I think I remember saying this to you when we were at Nantucket some years ago. there's a big difference between a person that works hard and someone that's a hard worker.
Okay.
I'm gonna say it again. There's a big difference between someone someone that works hard and a hard worker. Because most people work hard, but that's not going to get them to where they want to go. Those people that you were talking about on Shark Tank, and when they heard this person giving their story, it resonated with them.
Okay.
It had nothing to do with color.
Preach, Marcus.
It had nothing to do with color. It had everything to do with someone that is a hard worker. Now, let me quantify hard worker.
Nah, you killing it. You killing it. As Pastor Ashley said, you're preaching, Marcus. You're preaching.
As a hard worker, can you commit to the process without being emotionally attached to the results?
Okay. Come on. All right. Let's pause. Explain.
So where the folks that you mentioned on Shark Tank, and I can tell you for the right person that hears this, that they're working. So, for instance, back when you were just asking me about the Mills house and the completion, I'm committed to that process.
Mm-hmm.
The emotions of the result, I am not attached to that.
Meaning what?
So
emotional results means what?
So the process, I can only control the things that I have control over. My attitude, my effort, and the things that I'm putting into it. So I only focus on the process and the work. And so people, a lot of times, they misconstrue the work. So work is what is the right thing, the most expedient thing to do at a certain time to get it done. You can be busy all day long, but got nothing done. I've been there. I have been busy. Man, my calendar is from top to bottom scheduled with meetings, but I got absolutely nothing done. That wasn't the work.
Mm-hmm.
The work is how long can you be consistent to those things that are going to move your business forward for the time period, whatever the time period is, and you're not emotionally attached to the results.
Okay, let's pause right there and I want to go back because I think that what you said, the people on Shark Tank are communicating to these people who have a story similar to theirs. So I want two-part question. Because I think you did I've never heard it being explained like that. Like you said, when you take the emotion out of it, okay? The emotion of emotion that you're not like me. You get what I'm saying? So I want you to do two things for me. Tell me Tell me what they're saying, translate what they're saying. Because what I want you to do too is with what happened with the Mill House, because what I like to do is listen to, even when I'm preaching a sermon, think about what everybody is thinking in the room. People could be like, okay, here's Marcus Green. He bought this mill house. He's building it up. It burns down, bop, 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 bop. But he has more money to go back and do it again. So his faith, him talking about faith, da da da. But like you said, you can take out. So then it's kind of like, well, my business didn't do well and something happened, but I may not have money to him to recover. So it's kind of like you're hearing the same thing, but different. Like I said on Shark Tank, it's kind of like you can look at this guy and say, you're a billionaire. You don't understand. So if you can tie a bow around that to the person who maybe can't just jump up and say, I'm going to do it again. And then what on Shark Tank they're saying, because I think what you said that was really good and I loved it, it can get lost in the translation.
Yeah. And so I'm speaking to that person that can compartmentalize and give it everything they got in spite of situations, how you feel, and none of those things, circumstances, situations, how you feel, none of them things are going to move the needle.
Okay, but this would be my pushback.
Yeah.
So if I'm on Shark Tank and I'm asking for $125,000 and I'm gonna give you 2%, and this man is telling me, "Oh, I came off on a boat," and so I'm kind of like, that's easy for you to say. You're a billionaire, so you're saying that, and so I'm pushing because I want you to speak to that person that may be thinking, because I believe that you can encourage them. The Miller House burnt down, but you can go build it up. My business is suffering bad. So, like, you don't really understand what I'm saying, Mr. Marcus Green. So how does it all correlate to people who may not have that to recover? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
I think, everybody's situation, everybody's situation is unique.
Okay.
And everyone's situation, when they're in it, seems like it's no one understands, it's unsurmountable, and you don't know what I'm going through.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And this is where I'm saying, yes, you're right.
Okay.
I don't know your specific situation. However, I could too say the same thing to you, dear listener. You don't know my situation.
Okay.
You really don't know what's going on day in and day out.
Okay.
But the thing that I really want you to focus on instead of that situation, keep your eye on the prize. What moves your needle?
What moves your needle? Okay.
What moves your needle? Because you can sit here and say, all day long about you don't know my situation. You don't know my situation. And you know what? You're 100% correct. But what did that situation help you? Okay. How is that situation helping you? But you can refocus those energies and efforts to activities that can move your needle. And when you can stop looking at your situation and start focusing on that activity that moves that needle, if you can stay there long enough, by the time you look up, that situation is so far in your rearview mirror, you don't even know it ever existed. And that's what those guys from Shark Tank, I feel, is saying. Okay. When I was in my situation, just like yours, the difference between us is yes, there are some situations that make other racial groups a little bit more prone to us and get more preferential treatment than us. I'm not gonna sit up here and say that doesn't happen. No, I'd be a
And I don't
fool
know
to
if
say
that's for them. It's just like I'm always
yeah.
in that mindset thing. I'm always thinking about everybody in the room. Like you and I have talked about before. Like I see some of these actors, just not actors, celebrities. They go talk to these people at these Title I schools, and they say, "Hey, the way you become rich, like you just said, is by saving $20 a month and open you a fat cat account." But because I'm always thinking about everybody in the room, not just my kids, and open them account and giving them $20, I'm like, dude, you talking to Title I kids
Right.
who parents probably, I'm not saying they all are, so I'm not generalizing, but maybe on say, dog, they rent $20 a month.
Right.
So they can't say, Mom, so-and-so told me to put $20 away. Hey, because those kids are trying to survive. So I'm always thinking about practical things that can be across all the board. And so that's why I was just pushing because I was
100%. And I think something that is across the board. I don't care if you have $1 million, $0. You're being in control of your situation and how you think about a situation. It has nothing to do with money. That right there, money. Really, money is a fictitious thing. That money is called fiat. That currency means nothing. It's all about how you think about that money.
Okay.
And how you think about it, you only control the process. And the more and more you train it's almost like, when I was in school and before I was married and things like that, and I wanted a certain young lady, and I would think about her. And you know what? It's funny about the more and more I think about this young lady, she would just show up. No, that doesn't happen. You hear these guys that say, you think about it long enough, it show up. But what it did do, it made me start changing my appearance. It made me start to care about my hygiene, care about the way that I look, care about how I presented myself. And when the time was right and that young lady crossed my path, gotcha. And the same thing is that we have to prepare our mindset to get in that wealth building phase. And it doesn't matter where you are in that mindset. You can start. You have to really understand where you are in the process. And so if you are a business owner, if you are one of those people with, like I mentioned, you're self-employed, you have a consulting business, you're a one-man band or whatever, you have to focus on those things that will eliminate your job. That will free you up. You got to start thinking about what those things are and bringing those things into the process, into the forefront. And then over time, your situation, and I'm never one to listen to someone pity party. I'm not going to do it. No, I mean, I hear everyone has, like I say, everyone has their situation. Everyone has their own plight, and I get it. And you're right. You're right. I'm not going to argue with you. You're right. But then what?
Right.
Then what you going to do?
Right.
You say, well, I don't have this, but then what? I don't have that. Okay, then what? I don't have this.
Go ahead. I'm on my bad.
No, I want to strip it all the way down to the bare minimum and overcome those objections so you can move forward and start growing, because that's where we have to get on that growth mindset.
Yeah, I think it's dope what you said. And I think you laid it out so eloquently, is that when they're sharing that on, because like one thing with sports, well, when they're sharing that on Shark Tank, it's not necessarily the thing, but there is a process that I had to go through to get to where I am. And right now in you, it may not be the same, but I see a process. I see that you came from nothing, and it may not be the same nothing I came from, but there was a process of faith that helped you to get to where you are right now. May not have been the same hard work, but there was a process of hard work that helped you to get to where you are. So like in athletics, LeBron's son is still got to work out the same as somebody that doesn't have, might have different trainers, might have different food, but you're saying no matter who it is, there's always going to be a process, and we can share our processes to make us strong. Am I correct?
100%. And I'm gonna say it in another way. I don't care what ethnic background, what color you are. If you are, and I'm bringing this up because it's very prevalent, talked about in the media right now.
Okay.
If you are a woman and you have gone through childbirth, you can see another woman that's gone through childbirth, and you could have a black woman and a white woman. They have a kindred experience that they can relate to that experience of childbirth. Mm-hmm. It may not been the same. May not been the same at all. You may have complications here. She may have complications here, but they still understand that 9 months of gestation, and they have that. All mothers have that kindred. They almost like in a club in the two of themselves. And the same thing about business. There is a process in this business this thing called business that you have to go through. Mm-hmm. Now,
so let me this. Somebody who starts out with a lot of money and somebody's getting it from the mud, do you feel like there's still a process?
There's still a process.
Okay.
There's either you're going to pay now or pay later, but you're going to pay. No one in this thing called business comes out on the other side unscathed. So you don't have a shiny gold that didn't go through the fire.
Okay.
You can have it stayed in as long as you want, but if you wanted that shiny gold, it has gone through a fire. And the more pure gold it is, the more intense that heat has been.
Gotcha. So
I mean, I know there are some people out there that has now, unless you have some guys in this world that, I mean, the super ultra wealthy, like the sheiks in Saudi and things like that.
Yeah. Okay. So let's
totally different. That's a totally different game.
Did you see the fight the other night?
I did not.
So there is a sheik. They call him Your Excellence.
Yeah. And
he is funding boxing right now. They inducted him into the Las Vegas Boxing Hall of Fame, and he's only been sponsoring boxing for a year.
Yeah, there's a couple reasons for that, because right now, it's almost, you remember back in the day, smoking cigarettes is taboo. Like right now, if you see somebody smoking a cigarette, you looking at them like they're alien. Like, what are you doing?
Right.
It's going to be the same thing with gasoline in the next, and it's already already here. But in the next 5 to 10 years, fossil fuel cars are going to be a thing of the past. Now think of Saudi Arabia. That is probably 70 to 80% of their GDP, their gross domestic product, is oil. They generate all their revenue from oil. Mm-hmm. So if the world is about to be anti-oil, we got to diversify.
Right.
We got to get into some other things, some other businesses. So this is where I said, pay now, pay later.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
When he gets into boxing and he thinks that's his business,
right,
he is going to get his clock cleaned because that's not his business.
Right.
Although he has enough money to weather a storm, he can throw as much money as he wants to. So he is going to get the same lumps as this person that's starting a cupcake company. Gotcha. But his scale is just going to be at a much higher scale.
What do you mean by that?
So where this person the lumps are just going to be immense. So lumps is lumps. So the person that's starting the cupcake company, they could take $1,000. They get hit $1,000 loss or something like that. That hurts because of the ratio of the revenue that they're generating. He gets hits with tens of millions of lumps, and it's kind of comparable because his pockets are a little deeper, but he's going to have the same lumps as everyone else in business. It's just what it is. Now, some people could weather a storm longer than others. Yeah.
Man, you got the best answers. Lumps are lumps.
Lumps are lumps. Yeah. Yeah. Look. Like Mike Tyson said, everybody got a plan till they get punched in the mouth. He probably have a plan about this boxing thing, and he's gonna get punched in the mouth.
He's got to go through the process.
You got to go through the process. 100%. 100%. There's no way around it. No.
All business owners, they got to go. They got to go through the process. They got to take their lumps.
Yeah.
The scales are just different.
Scales are just different, and the thing about it is, it's just, can you go through? Don't. I mean, and I'm preaching to myself right now about going through. You asked the question, what keeps me going? I can't stop. I can't stop right now because I'm in that process right now. So I grew up fighting a lot in as a kid. If you hit me, we fighting all day. I'm not going to stop. And this thing right now in business, it's a fight, and you cannot. You don't lose until you stop. And I just can't stop. And I want to encourage everyone that's under the sound of my voice, just don't stop. I know it's hard. I know it's meant to be hard. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. But I believe it's worth it.
Yeah. Big time. I appreciate you. And hey, we're gonna do this again. This is episode 5 of The Pursuit with the serial entrepreneur himself, aka Spider-Man. Nobody really knows who you are. So we figured out today, y'all, computer science. He made something called back. But we're gonna spend more time with him, and maybe he will divulge some more information. But stay in the process. You will take some lumps. Everybody's going to take some lumps. But as he said, as long as you're in the fire, we are believing you are going to come out on the other side like pure gold if you don't stop. This is The Pursuit, episode number 5, sponsored by G. Allen Incorporated, C.G. Allen, for all your marketing and sponsorship needs. We'll see you later for episode number 6.
Bye-bye.